Hello there. Hi, Mignon.
Hello.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I am very good. Been out in the cold shower. That was just beautiful. And I know you do the same
Brilliant.
because you have an absolute affinity with water.
I do.
Yes. So we're going to talk today about what it is that has helped you or brought you to the point of the creative that you do. You are passionate about water, and your passion you use with your sound healing, your meditations, your activism, and your healing modalities. So I'm reading actually what you have told me, and sounds incredible. And I'd love people to find out more about this because you are a transformational musician. I've had the privilege actually of hearing you, seeing you, and being part of an event that we've both been to with the Wise Women's Gathering.
Yes.
And I realised just to ask this question because it just came through the one about the women that's on your album, is that what we were singing as we were doing the circle at the Wise Women's Gathering? That same song?
No, no, not this year. We have sung that chant in the past at Wise Women's Gathering, but no, it was a different one. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, whatever we've done has been amazing. Anyway, you're a sound healer, a sacred activist, and your music, sound work, and community workshops embody homecoming, unity, wisdom, and kindness. And what I'm loving is kindness in a very unkind, what can be, and divided world that we live in now. So your meditations take us into our own elements of water, earth, fire, and air. Your music, your sound healing can create a flowing backdrop for yoga, movement practices, which is the thing that we talked about before, because that's
Mm.
what I'm very much involved is human movement and music. Standalone journeys with sound, meditations, and also a mantra. Divine Songs is a growing interfaith community bringing unity through music and dance from many faiths and many cultures, which is just beautiful as well.
Mm.
That it's not sort of divided that you must be this or that. Magic is created with crystal alchemy. Perfect.
Mm.
And the alchemy bowls, crystal alchemy bowls, Aqua Gong. Now I'm not sure. Lumnezia Monochord. I don't know what that is.
It's a monochord. It's a it's a stringed instrument.
Okay, ethereal voice. I've actually seen it, but I didn't realize that's what it is. The Rav Vast tongue pan and mantra. Mignon also offers retreats, workshops, group healings, as well as private biodynamic craniosacral therapy one-on-one sessions. And I'm going to add because I had one of those at the Wise Women's Gathering. I remember at the time I was feeling sick and I had a headache, and I was on edge, and I did this, you did this, or I did this with you, and came out for days feeling incredible. So
That's great.
she's quite amazing. So she also
Thank
runs festivals for women, for refugees, and retreats and workshops, and has done for 30 years. So welcome. And what country are you in?
I am in Wadi Wadi Darawal country down the south coast,
Okay, Garigal,
Illawarra region near Wollongong.
and I'm in Garigal country, which is Northern Beaches and into Terry Hill stuff as far as where I was brought up. So here we are. Now, I will start with your question. One, what started this passion to create diverse, welcoming community events?
So I think I'll just go into a bit of my history, which always leads us to what we do in the world. And I was born in apartheid South Africa, where people were divided. My parents were activists. My father was in a thing called the treason trial and was arrested along with Nelson Mandela. And so there was, I grew up in the society where people were not treated as equal, and people, I'd be standing at the bus stop speaking to a wonderful elderly Black woman, and a bus would come along and the bus would say whites only or blacks only. And it was this horrible feeling of being separated. And so a lot of my life has been about creating festivals, creating gatherings where people feel welcome. That sense of circle and tribe has become more and more important to me. And especially with what we've been through in the last few years, where we were separated by mandates, we were separated by lockdowns. And so building community, bringing people together from all faiths in spaces where people feel welcome is really a very big passion for me.
Tell me, did you have an innate feeling of this imbalance, do you think? So that was something without you even knowing about, so for instance, you said you were a child at the bus stop. Was it an innate feeling? Was it deep inside you that you knew this imbalance is not right?
Yes, very much so. And interesting enough, when I came to Australia, I had this sense of, because in South Africa, as a white person, I was a minority, and so there was always much more black people at events than white people, and so that became normal to me. And I came here and I was like, why
Oh,
is it whites? Where are the black people? And so I felt really
yeah.
deeply unbalanced. And so I would go to women's events or gay events in Sydney, or and it would be all white fellas. And so I had this feeling to create a festival for women that was, that brought women together from different cultures. And so I started consulting with some of the local Aboriginal women's elders groups down the South Coast, and we created a festival called Sister Jive. And that was really my drive to redress that, what I felt was an imbalance. And by the end of 5 years, the beginning of the festival and half the workshops were run, and the end of the festival were all run by the Indigenous women. And there were women from many cultures there. And for a lot of women, it was the first time they'd actually been in a space that was so multicultural and had so many different people of all different cultures in it. So it was actually quite an amazing event that happened. But that came from that arriving here and feeling like, hang on, this feels imbalanced. So yes, it was a thing in me that started when I was very young, this feeling of wanting everybody to be treated equally. But I acknowledge my parents in that, because I was taught that by my parents. I was taught that everybody's equal and you don't ever treat anybody as if they're not equal to you. And that's something I really hold very high in my life as an activist in the world.
I believe that very, very much. I've got to add, I was brought up in Duffy's Forest, or started off in the city, but ended up in Duffy's Forest, which is Aboriginal sacred land, right? But it's also where a lot of Italian market growers began to grow their beautiful vegetables, right? And what I discovered, and was horrified to find out, I'm a little girl going to a Catholic school, that these people were called wogs and smelly and dirty. And I was going, but these are my friends. These are the people that we hang out with. And I thought then, so the cultural here in Australia, I'm talking again long time ago. You're talking 30. I'm talking more years ago. Was disgraceful how people treat each other. So what you're doing is bringing these communities. There was a beautiful Tibetan festival here, just down the park next to us on the weekend as well. But what you're doing is being this awareness of this beautiful community that we should have and share the beauty of music and dance and movement, no matter what colour we are, no matter where we come from. So this is, to me, the most divine thing as well. And I'm going to go on to the next thing I want to ask you.
Well, that was what you're describing is divine songs.
Yes.
So
yes.
Divine songs started with a friend who is Sufi, and I'm Jewish, and we were doing chanting in sort of Sanskrit and Hebrew and Arabic, and we thought, wouldn't it be great to bring people together from different faiths, particularly Hebrew and Arabic, because there's so much pain and war in those two cultures. Even though we all came from Abrahamic tradition, we all came from the great father Abraham. And so Divine Songs was started where we would get people together and people would bring their songs. It didn't matter whether it was in Sanskrit from the yogic cultures, whether it was in Hebrew, whether it was African goddess, Sufi traditions. And then we were joined by Ben Zion who leads the Dancers of Universal Peace in Sydney. And it's become a movement really where we get together. The next one is the 23rd of July in Sydney.
Okay.
And people just bring a song or chant from their tradition, and it's very eclectic. The last one was on Mother's Day, and the next one is about bringing the light from being in the darkness and bringing the connection of coming from the darkness together. So
I'll add them to my website as well. I have to get those details because I'd like to go to this as well on the 23rd of July.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds really beautiful. only been to probably more local ones. And the weirdest thing, my husband's French and we live in France for some time. I've probably done more of this in another country other than Australia.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. There isn't that much of it happening in Australia that, you know, particularly interfaith. There's either, like you said, there's a Tibetan festival or there's a yoga festival with Sanskrit, Hindu tradition, or, you know, so bringing it all together is quite a unique thing.
Yeah. So, now, why are you so passionate about water? And how does your passion for water come into your sound healing meditations, activisms, and healing modalities?
So, I was born with the waves crashing outside the window, lullabying me to sleep every night. And ever since then, I've been inseparable from the ocean. And if I live somewhere that's, you know, or if I am somewhere that's away from the sea, I start to feel a bit like I need to get to the ocean.
I'm so
And I swim every day. And so the ocean has been a huge healing for me. And my activism in the last few years has really become about doing ceremony with the ocean, joining groups that are fighting for laws that protect the water worldwide. On my album, there's a chant to Yamaya, the goddess of water, which comes from the Yoruban African tradition. But then I've also been studying, I'm a musician, so I work with waves and sound. And then I'm a craniosacral therapist, and craniosacral therapy is very much about tuning into the movement of the tides in the nervous system and the tides that ebb and flow throughout the body.
I'm sorry, I'm just moving my computer. Sorry, the tides go on, sorry.
The tides that ebb and flow inside the body. And so my life has really become very much about the healing work I'm doing being about working with the tides. The music and the sound healing that I do is about working with waves that and settle the nervous system. I myself, growing up in apartheid South Africa in an activist family, I have PTSD. I suffer with anxiety and panic attacks, and so my life has really been very focused on settling the nervous system through the fluid body, going to the ocean to calm me down. So I began to realize that the importance is that we balance the tides within us and without us, that the water within and without us on the whole planet is really crucial to all of our healing. You know, the saying water is life, and we are 90% water. So that balance has become really important through my healing work, through the sound healing that I do. And I've begun to live my life in a kind of tidal way almost. So I swim every day, and at the moment it's freezing cold, but that really, I know that's really good. I feel so alive, but it also settles the vagus nerve, it settles the nervous system. And I do water ceremonies regularly as well. So
what's an example of water ceremony?
Ceremonies where you go to the ocean and do ceremony where you offer healing to the ocean, where I've done a lot of ceremonies in conjunction with people all around the world, where the intention is of healing the water systems of the planet.
Do you feel a change? This is right off point at the moment, but do you feel a change because of what's happening and what is still happening in the last 3 years? Do you feel a change in the waters and the need for healing the waters even more so? Or are the waters actually healing, and will the waters help us to be able to become better, stronger, and live in a world that maybe not so divided? Is that really a huge question?
It is. I don't have the answer to those questions, but I think that people have become much more aware. You know, we had this pause where for a moment the planet had reprieve, where everybody was in lockdown, and so a lot of the pollution and stuff was paused. But I think that people have become more conscious of the fact that unless we take care of the planet, unless we take care of the water systems, we won't be able to survive. And so there's a much more of a consciousness around what's happening to the oceans and protection of the oceans and marine people are much more conscious of the scientific research being done around waters and the barrier reef and things like that. So I can't answer the question, but I think that there is much more of an awareness and a consciousness. One of the things that I've been working with a couple who started this concept of having a worldwide water law, and thousands of people have now signed it, but it's just about bringing people's consciousness to sign a document that we hope to go into the United Nations and hope to get to the people that make decisions, that will actually be enshrined that we protect the water systems of the world.
Yeah. We were on the Barrier Reef for a short time on our van life travels, and this I noticed for the first time ever, people actually really being aware of the water and what's in the water and why isn't there certain things in the water that there used to be in the water.
Yes.
And where's the coral and all of that. So the discussion is definitely out there, which I had not, it's been around for a while, that discussion, but more everyday people being very aware of this now. So yes, that has occurred.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that people are more aware.
Yeah. Now, you did mention Divine Songs is an interfaith singing circle bringing people together.
I did talk about Divine Songs.
So we've gone there. The next question is, you started singing when you were 5 years of age and went on to sing professionally at 16. You are now 64. How has your music changed over the years?
So I started writing songs when I was about 5 years old. I started singing and writing songs, and I've always done that. And then as a young adult growing up in South Africa, my songs were very much about fighting the system and freedom and rights. And then I kind of went on to sing songs. And when I came to Australia, singing songs about, for the environment or for refugees or for women's rights, or, so it was, my music was quite political. And then I started becoming involved in more spiritual movements, and I started singing kirtan, and I started singing in Sanskrit, and then I started singing in Hebrew. And so my music became, rather than being, this activist weapon, my music became more about spirituality. And I'd say now, like my recent album, which The Resonance of Divine Mother, is very much about honoring the Divine Mother, but music that I'm playing at the moment is very much about settling the nervous system and, bringing people home back to their hearts. And for me, The Resonance of Divine Mother is about bringing that energy of kindness and the Divine Mother back to earth. And so I almost channel the Divine Mother when I'm singing and when I'm playing music now. And I've become much more into wordless singing as well, toning and bringing through, I don't want to call it light language, but some languages that come through me, and sounds and toning and crystal bowls. And so really just bringing in sounds that are about healing more than about fighting the system. So I think in that way, I'm not writing songs so much anymore. That what I'm writing now is the flow of music that comes through me.
Excuse me. What brought you to Australia?
It was a very bleak time in South Africa, and a very violent place to be. And my brother had moved here, and I was held at knife point by a gang of men during a rally. And in that moment, something in me snapped, and I went, I can't cope with this violence anymore. My nervous system was just so shattered. And my brother, he was getting married, and he brought my parents and myself over to sing at his wedding, and I ended up just staying here. I'm very lucky that I could just stay here. And I don't think anybody leaves, particularly Cape Town, where I come from, is very, very beautiful, leaves their homeland because they want to. I think most people leave because they feel they had to. And a lot of South Africans left South Africa not because they wanted to, but because they were scared. They left in fear because of the violence and because of what was happening in the country. So that was the main reason for coming here.
Have you been back?
I have been back when my parents were still alive. I used to go quite regularly, but I haven't been back for about 8 years. But yeah.
Right. And it's not the same anymore, as we know. It's changed. It's not. It's
Um,
not violent.
yeah,
It's
it is and it isn't.
more,
It is and it isn't. You know, I mean, uh, the government changed, but there are some things that are still the same, and there are some things that are different, and it's a very amazing country.
yeah. No, I've never been there. I'd love to. The closest I went to was Mauritius, which was not.
Yeah,
Now, these are the questions you gave me, but I'd love you to tell me any more about what you would like to express to people and have people understand about you, and also where we can find you, where there are festivals, where what is happening, so that I can actually send this information out, which I'd love to. So anything you'd like to tell, plus
sure.
anything you'd like to play as well.
So, well, the Divine Songs is going to be in Bondi on the 23rd, and I'm happy to send you a link to put when you post the recording. And anybody's welcome to bring a song or a chant from their culture. I'm also doing sound healings called Waves of Peace, where I play. I'm just going to turn this around so you can see the beautiful dolphin gong over there.
Yes, it is beautiful, gorgeous.
Yeah. So
have that
so
made for you, or
no,
painted?
no,
Okay.
no. So yeah, so I Waves of Peace is sound healing with meditation, but I basically take you on a water journey,
Right.
which involves sound healing and a meditation to balance that water within and without us, and it's really about settling the nervous system
So where
and
do you do that?
I do them all over the place, and I also offer them at people's houses or studios or anywhere where people want to have it. But I'm sort of organizing a little mini tour with the Waves of Peace at the moment. So if anybody would like to have me come to your yoga studio or to your...
That's what I should be organising. Sorry, I'm moving again because it sort of went all pale and I couldn't see properly. I would love to organise this, and I'll talk to you personally about this. In my little studio, which is here in Manly Vale, and
Yeah.
I've done it before. I've had it with two different people. One's actually overseas. Well, they're both overseas right now, actually. That I've done this with. One's lives in Amsterdam, but it's been quite amazing. And we're on the Northern Beaches, so near water. In fact, walking distance to.
Beautiful.
And we also have a pool, which I use all the time. In fact, I just have to see it. I look at it. I just have to have water the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's sort of got this lovely sort of environment. So maybe we talk about this, and so anybody
Lovely.
watching this, when we replay.
And if anyone else would like to book me to come to their town or their studio or their, I'm looking to travel the Waves of Peace around, because I think we all need it right now. We all need some waves of peace and to tune into the inner and outer tides of our system. So
this constant feeling of who knows what's next is quite scary, because
it is
always been, I suppose, who knows what next, but this is so rapid now of who knows what next. It's
we don't know.
Yeah. So tell us about the different instruments that you actually use. I saw the gong with the
yes. Well, I was just about to do a little practice with the crystal bowl, so I'm happy to do that. But I play gongs, I play monochord, I play guitar and sing, and I use Alchemy crystal bowls, which are particular bowls that are made from the source of the. So I have rose quartz bowls and various other gemstones, and my voice has probably become my biggest instrument at the moment, and a Rav Vast drum, which is like a flying saucer.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, I love them. I love them. I first came across them many years ago in Europe, and then I'd never seen them in Australia. But yeah, amazing. Love that sound.
Yeah.
And the crystal bowls, are they here from Australia or from Australian?
They're from America, these ones. They're from a place called Crystal Tones.
Right.
Yeah. So this is one that's made from rose quartz.
Yes, I love the colour. But I love the feel of It's love.
So would you like me to do a little?
Yeah, I was going to say, and movement. I mean, that's sort of what I can't help but move when I hear sound.
Yeah, but that's beautiful.
That's what I'd like to embrace, I suppose, and get people to come together. And you obviously do that. So I'm going to find out details of places, and I'll also look at organising something as well. But yes,
Right.
I love you too. So should I turn this sound down, which is
Yeah.
this album of yours?
Yeah.
Which is called, the name of the album?
The Resonance of Divine Mother.
The Resonance of Divine Mother, and it's on Spotify, and I found it just like that.
Well, they can actually buy it if they want to support the artist. Go to Bandcamp. Go to Bandcamp and buy the album.
Go to where?
Bandcamp.
Oh, Bandcamp, yes. That's what we're trying to do with my daughter's music as well. Bandcamp. Okay. I'm going to turn this down. All right, so I've turned that sound so we can be clear and hear yours.
Right.
And I might just wait.
Okay.
So you'll see, because it's like, also when you sway and move your body, which you probably know. So if I move to my right and I just do a little bit of this, I'm going to massage my liver. If I move to my left,
Yeah. Well, great. Love you to move to what I'm doing. So I'm just going to start by doing simple hummings. Anybody who's watching this, humming is the quickest way to settle and balance your vagus nerve and your nervous system and your brain. So just, if you just want to take a deep breath and just let yourself very gently hum.
There it is. Well, the original sound is on, but it seems to be delayed. Could you hear that delay?
I can't hear it, no. It does delay on Zoom. It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it very bad?
Well, I hear it when you stop. So,
Yeah.
So that no, there was no sound. That's terrible, isn't it? I thought that because we turned that on, I should say, original sound, it might work. Have you done it before on Zoom for you?
Sorry?
Does it normally work on Zoom, or you're saying it doesn't?
Yeah, if the settings are correct. So
yeah.
If it sounds bad, then I'll stop.
Yeah, that's a pity because it's I know, a beautiful sound and a gorgeous instrument. Do you have any other thing sitting right beside you that you might be able to? The stringed one that you mentioned.
Yeah, no, that'll take a while to.
Okay, won't do that. Oh, that's a pity because that would have been very beautiful. Now, how can we?
I think if you just wanted to share that first track, The Resonance of Divine Ma, with the crystal bowl and the voice, that'll. Can you share from your computer your sound?
I've got it playing over on my iPad over there, which I could probably. No, I haven't done this while I'm doing Zoom. Is open Spotify here. I don't know whether that will work. I don't.
Can you share your audio? Yeah.
So on Spotify here.
We can just put a link and then people can go and listen.
I'm going to take this back. I'm going back. So I want to get out of here now. This is not what I want to be in. Oh, now I can't get out. Am I still on the screen?
You are.
So
thank you.
I seem to get myself out of here. No. Oh,
that's all right. Thank you.
Where is it?
We can just put a link.
Oh, it is. Yeah, so I'll put the link. I've got the albums playing over there. It's actually gone into it. You know how when you have an album on Spotify and it goes all the way through, and then it brings in something
Yeah,
else that suits it. So that I think that's what's playing now.
yeah.
But so this album, can you repeat the name of it again?
It's called. So I'm Migon Mukti on Bandcamp or Spotify or Apple iTunes, and the album is called The Resonance of Divine Mother.
Now you've got one. The first song that I did have playing is you said is Mama, not Mama.
The Resonance of Divine Ma.
Ma, and Divine Ma is mother.
Yes.
Yes. And
so the practice that I was going to do now is the toning of the sound Ma, which is on that first recording. You can hear it.
And that's the sound bowl. That's
without any zoom delay or compression. So
is that with the bowl? Is that with the crystal bowl?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so can we make a sound without the bowl? Can we just?
It won't really. Yeah.
It won't be the same.
No.
Oh, that's a pity. So what you're going to have to do, anyone who will be watching this, is to find this album and actually Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple you mentioned as well. So all platforms that this music.
Yeah.
And I will be putting it also as a link on my Facebook. I'll put it on my Facebook as well, but I'll put it on my website. And I would like you to tell me any more that you feel that it's necessary for people to actually know, to actually understand more of what you're doing, or and also I'd love to find out personally about the vibrational hertz of those sounds, because as we know, when we live in a negative field, the vibrations are very low, and the color that goes, because I do chakra balancing as well, is to do with is dark and deep. And as we move through vibrational levels, which I believe that is exactly what you're doing, we lift our vibrations and can live in a more higher, joyful, loving world. So your music, what sort of the hertz of, or is that something that's just not, I mean, is it too much of a question to ask? So
yeah, I mean, I just work with high frequency instruments and my voice, so it's not a particular frequency. If I'm working with tuning forks on a person, then I'm working with a particular frequency that we're trying to balance. But the crystal bowls themselves, the earth has a whole crystalline base to it, and so that crystalline base is getting stronger and stronger, and so the actual playing of crystal bowls amplifies the higher frequencies and really helps bring those higher energies back to the planet.
So the more people who play it, the more people who listen to it, the higher energy and the field around
to
actually
and also the intention that people play with is really important too.
Yeah. Now tell me, with the tuning forks, I had an incident occurred to me where a healer used a tuning fork on that was this, like,
yeah,
and I collapsed. I'm wondering if that meant it was too much for me. I still to this day don't know, and I've been too scared to even try again. And I'm sure that you would know. She had only just done a training, and it frightened her just as much. What's the power with these tuning forks? What is it that they actually do?
It's, we are made of vibration. We are made of sound. Yeah. So if somebody plays the wrong frequency or in the wrong part of your brain or whatever, it can trigger, good responses or negative responses.
Right.
So tuning forks are very powerful, and somebody really needs to know what they're doing when they work with them. Yeah.
No, I realised that it was she's done more training since, but it was just so intense. I had a few days where I'd love to find out more, and I'd like to actually find out a way that will prevent me from feeling a bit worried about it all. But everything else that I have done when it's come to sound bowl healing and gongs and chimes and all of that have been the most positive, beautiful the results have been days later, where
Yes.
everybody has said the same thing. So this coming together with people and bringing this together is something that is so important, I believe.
But totally, I mean, I can walk into a room where somebody's playing the crystal bowls and go, I need to get out of here because it just doesn't feel right to me. And I can go in and somebody just plays the first note of the bowl and I just go into an altered state, and you know, so it's very personal. It's very personal. Everybody does things differently, and for me, a very important lesson that I'm learning at the moment is, you know, people do things. Massage is doing, you know, playing at trees or singing to trees or whatever, and it's actually really time for everybody to listen more. You know, just to listen to what somebody's body needs, or to go and sit in front of a tree and just listen to, because the trees and the earth are our elders. They are teachers for us, and so just to hear, to find a quiet space where you can actually listen is vitally important for this time and for the planet and for all of our healing. So I think there's a lot of people doing sound healing out there rather than listening and learning what frequencies are needed or what imbalance, and then responding to that. So it's very much, you know, for me, the consciousness is starting to change, and people are starting to realize that it's our time to listen. Like for me, craniosacral is not, I'm not doing, I'm holding space.
Right.
And then the body tells me what it needs. I'm not going, I'm going to give you a massage. I'm listening to the body. And so more and more I'm learning that listening is the first most important practice in whatever we're doing. You know, if we're in a room and we're teaching a class, listening to what the audience needs, not just deciding what people are going to get, you know, just really listening on so many levels. That really needs to be where we all go to. So
you're so right, because we've all been sort of brought up to have to do things.
Yes.
Every single day you've got to do a certain amount of things.
Yeah.
So that is really important, is to take it to the level that we actually be aware of what's actually happening around us and listen to it.
Listening to our own bodies, listening to nature, listening to, you know, it's so vital. Thank you.
Okay. No, it's lovely. Is there anything you want to add here?
No, I think that's a good place to finish.
Okay.
On the list.
Thank you. And I will, do you want to stay just a moment? We'll stop the recording. So thank you very much, Mignon.
Thank you, Jill. Well, lovely to chat with you.
Lovely to chat with you as well.